Hi YouTube, welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael and today we're in the Rocky Mountains. Prairie Spirit Alpaca, the best socks and insoles you can buy. If comfort, warmth and durability is important, head over to the website and take a look. Alpaca fleece is more than twice as warm as merino wool and twice as strong. Plus Esme says alpacas look like fluffy mini giraffes. Links in the description. So hopefully you can see from this glorious surroundings that we've made it all the way to the mountains. We're just north of Crow's Nest Pass, and this is an area I've been to once before but didn't take a UTV with me. So Esme and I, we're going to explore today and figure out what are the good camping spots, what are the good trails, and we're going to take a good look and see. I've had a look at the maps and there are trails scattered all along here. It looks pretty popular. When I came into the staging area, lots of campers, lots of people. So we're hoping to get off the beaten trail. So if that sounds like fun, stick around. So I think we found a good place to camp. We're about 100 meters off the gravel road that goes through the main area, and it's been used before. There's a couple of fire pits dotted around, but the important thing is it's flat and it's soil, so I can get my tent set up. So that's what I'm looking for. Can get windy here, I can tell that already. So I am beside some trees and hopefully I've picked the right direction, that it's going to protect me somewhat, but the wind may switch. Esme and I have been traveling the trails for a little while, trying to figure out where we are. Should have brought a map. I thought my GPS maps would have been okay, but the trails are marked and there's probably a trail map. So I'm staying on a couple of trails, but it's such a beautiful area. I know it took me like 4.5 hours door to door to get here, but it's worth it. Not for one night, it's not worth it perhaps, but for a weekend. But nice creek, lots of access to water. I can imagine how beautiful this place is in winter. But we'll keep going. You can see the mountains just all around. Very, very beautiful. So we had a slight change of venue. Decided to move to a slightly different spot, which is actually perfect. It's grassed, it's flat, and we have actually cell service, and we have a great view of the mountain. Okay, so we are all set up. Got the stovepipe in, that's pretty solid. I'm not too worried about that, even though it's very windy. Got it tied down to 3 points. So I think we should be good. The tent overall, even though the gusts are pretty strong, it does flex slightly, but I'm not too concerned. What I've also done is tuck the skirts underneath this way, which is helping to keep the wind out, which is actually pretty good. So I'm actually very happy at the moment. Got the cot set up. This is the Helikon-Tex cot 1. Esme's blanket. I was just using my Swagman roll just to put on the cot, and the zipper just popped on the end, so looks like the stitching's just failed to stop the zipper coming to the end. But I always carry this quick stitcher or handy stitcher, can't remember what it's actually called, speedy stitcher. It's printed on the on the side. So this will repair anything from canvas, leather, all the usual stuff, and it's become quite useful. Just gotta lock this thing. So it's a pretty low-tech piece of equipment. It works great. So there's two types of needles that you get. One's a curved needle, one's a straight needle. I'm going to be using a straight needle. So we're all ready to stitch. So the groove side of the needle goes towards where the twine or cotton comes out. It has to loop over this pin to give you some tension. Now I can fix my little zipper. So the zipper, it's right there. It's kind of, the stitching's just popped. So I'm going to push through. Let me Make a loop. Pull back. Go back through like this. That will create the loop on the back. Push this thread through. Pull back. That's my first stitch done. I'm actually going to go over the top on this one because I want the zipper to stop. Go do the same again. You can see that. So I've just got to tidy up the tails, but hopefully you can see I've just got 4 loops across the zipper. So now this zipper is not going to get tugged off. And it's back serviceable again. Never underestimate a needle and thread, especially something like this. I think they're only like $25–30 and you get the whole kit. And I've used this from repairing shoes to obviously little jobs like this, but it's extremely strong. It's definitely a get you home piece of kit, but it's also actually good around the house too. So there you go, it's a Speedy Stitcher, made in the USA. So just a little bit of behind the scenes footage. So I brought the Jackery today because I don't need that much power, but I'm charging up my drone battery, also topping up my camera batteries for the Sony. So that is perfect. I might actually throw this Osmo Action on charge as well. We're down to about less than half. So throw that on for half an hour. We should be all set for the night time. Okay, so I think we're about ready to light the stove. We lost the light pretty quickly. The time is, I think it's like 7:30, 7:30. So let's give this a go. Got my flint and steel. One piece of birch bark. Oops, put my side pieces in. So this is my birch bark just underneath there, so I'm going to try and catch. So the temperature last night was -4 and tonight it's meant to be +4, but hopefully somewhere in the middle. We don't necessarily need the hot stove, but it's just nice to have. It does heat this tent up very quickly. It's a very efficient stove, and if you want to see more about the stove, then check the link above where I actually unbox it, do some testing and use it on my first camp with it. So just been outside, take some pictures, and the night sky is beautiful. We've also tested out the Olight, the new Seeker 3, I think it's called. It's unusual, it's a little bit different, and I'll show you some footage of me using it right about now. So let's talk a little bit about the Olight Seeker 3 flashlight. This is a 4200 lumen flashlight, and it has a 250 meter throw. Also has the strobe function for getting people's attention or for defensive purposes, but it's an extremely bright flashlight. One of the unique features with this particular flashlight, and not something I've seen on an Olight before, is the center button. It's actually got a dial which allows you to move the power of the flashlight up and down by rotating the dial. It also has a power indicator on the right hand side of the dial, so you know exactly how much battery you've got left. That's one feature I wish all the other flashlights had, was a really clear power indicator. One of the other unique features as well is the ability for the flashlight to sense what's in front of it. So if you do put your hand or a piece of paper in front of the flashlight, it will drop down to a lower setting to conserve battery, and it probably realizes, hey, I don't need to be full power because something's really close. That's a function you can turn on or off, but I think it's actually very well thought out. I do like it very much, and I think I'm going to add this permanently to my collection. So I really like the new features. I think it's adding more and more to the product line. If you did want more granular control of a flashlight and make it do different things, I think that might be a good option for you. It's extremely bright, but you can dial it down to almost nothing, so that's a really good feature. So we did have some smokies I was going to cook tonight, but I don't think I will. I really don't want any food in this tent at all. This is grizzly bear country, and I don't want to be smelling a sausage. So we actually had a couple of them just cold. We ate the contents, so that'll be fine. I do have my printing tool very close to my bed, so I just want to make sure that everything's set if there's any trouble. And I actually took one of my Olights and taped it to the long pointy end, so I'm not going to be scrambling around for a light if need be. It's going to be right exactly where I expect it to be, and I know where the flashlight is, so we should be all squared away. The Danchel stove's doing great. It's actually keeping the tent nice and warm. It's not super cold outside anyway, so it's going to keep up, but it is such a big volume of a tent. I actually have two Olight flashlights rigged up on one of the pouches on the pole. One points up, one points to the side to give me some nice light. So I'm just listening to a podcast. I just posted some stuff to Instagram. Strange as it may seem, I've actually got LTE connectivity where I am. It's only like weird spots around here, and this campsite had like 2 bars. So I've been able to post to social media, Instagram and YouTube, and also read some of the comments. So it's been fantastic, so I've really enjoyed that. So just another quick note about the OneTigris Rock Fortress tent. I did notice it had reflecting guy lines, which was excellent, and I did fit every guy line that came with the tent because of the windy conditions. You wouldn't necessarily have to stake it out this much, but I was expecting strong wind. So we're not in the sleeping bag tonight, we're in the top quilt. This is the Enlightened equipment. So this is a -6 C top quilt, so I think we're quite warm. And the wind has been picking up and shaking the tent quite a bit, but everything's holding strong so far, so I don't have any concerns. The stovepipe for the stove has also been very solid, and the stove's been kicking out quite a lot of heat, which is also great. Not that it's super cold, but it's probably getting down to about, I'd say about 6 Celsius right now, 7 Celsius, and that will drop down to about 4 according to the forecast. But you can never tell when you're on the side of a elevated slope towards a mountain. The weather can change pretty quickly. And just under there somewhere, there's Esme, and she's nice and warm under the bottom of my quilt. So we shall wish you a good night, and we'll see you in the morning. Good night for now. Well, good morning everyone. It was an interesting night. It was actually not very cold, and the stove kept us warm. We burned that until maybe 10 o'clock, somewhere around there I think. Maybe a little bit longer, but wow, was it windy. It's still very windy this morning. I've looked around the tent, everything looks fine. This is a big tent and it's held up really well. I did have a quick walk around outside already, and there's no pulled out guy lines or any damage or anything like that, but yeah, it's windy, so that's pretty good. I'm actually quite impressed. It's not many tents this size I think that would fare as well. Like, it's been moving around, but it hasn't significantly deformed. What you get with some of the cheaper tents and different designs is you'll get one side that will completely collapse and then it will pop back up or whatever. But we've had some strong gusts here and everything's been good. So yeah, very nice. Not much of the wind has come up under the skirt either. Just kept the tent relatively warm. And
yeah, I'm actually very surprised. This is a pretty strong tent. Haven't tested it with water, with rain yet, but I can see all the seams are taped, etc. So I think the plan this morning is to pack up, I think, and then cook breakfast. I think that would be better. I think we'll find a sheltered spot out the wind, and then we'll cook something up. So I did run the Olight flashlight last night. I had it on low, just pointed it up out the way, bit of background light, in case I needed to act quickly in the night. And yeah, it was fine. It's lots of battery left this morning. I don't think it dropped a bar actually, so it was good. With my old friend with me on ready alert, just in case there's any trouble. But I'm glad to say there was no. So it was a very pleasant night actually. I slept very well, even though it was windy. I woke up a few times when the wind really got up, but apart from that it was good. And Esme actually slept on her OneTigris blanket, so she actually slept not on the cot with me last night, and I just covered her over with the Helikon-Tex swagman roll, and she seemed quite happy. But as soon as I got out on my cot, she was in it, which is typical. So I'll start getting packed up in the next few minutes, and then we'll head off to somewhere we can actually cook some breakfast and have my coffee. I think that's a good plan. So I just moved inside the Can-Am because it's so windy outside and you probably couldn't hear me, but we're all packed up. I did throw on this Helikon-Tex jacket, and I'll put a link as usual. Love this jacket, packs into itself, and it's perfect for just throwing over the top. It's like a synthetic loft material, and obviously, you know, I love flak tarn camo. It's my favorite. So that was a good trip, very good night. I'm actually very impressed with the tent to hold up to that sort of punishment, because that's probably more than most people would ever push that tent through. But nothing tore, nothing ripped, none of the guy lines slipped. It was still pretty tight in the morning. Probably could have done with a bit of tightening on some of the guy lines, but you know, nothing came loose. The stove did really well. The 3 tie out points really held that chimney in the right spot. I wasn't concerned about that whatsoever. It was rock solid. I did tie it to the tent, so as the tent moved, the stove pipe would move as well. And that's really what you want, is to kind of stabilize it with the tent if possible. We'll be back again here pretty soon. Can't wait for winter. This is going to be stunning when it's winter time, but it's a long drive, so I doubt I'll be doing many one-nighters. It'll be probably a couple of days at least to make the most of this journey, and there's so much area to explore as well. I've only scratched the surface. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.
And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.